I think we're going live. I just got the notification. Okay, now on my screen it is saying that we are live. Welcome, everybody. We have a great panel here today. Amber, once again, she is MIA for us. She's on a transition right now where she's moving on out East Coast of this wonderful time zone. Hopefully, we'll get her back on here very soon. But this is our next episode of Count the Bucket, and it's one that I've been ready and willing to do for the long time. But before we get into exactly what our only one topic is, let's go ahead and go around the horn and introduce yourself. Matt, we'll just start with you and just go with the big circle here.
All right, that sounds fantastic. My name is Matt Skura around here. Some people call me Wise Cheese. I go by multiple names. My handles, Twitter handle down below at Matt_Skura. You could check on my Instagram at Matt_Skura20. I also have a sports podcast, me and my great friend Caleb Conant do, called MCS Real Sports Podcast. We talk all things sports related. You name it, it's there. Also available everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's there. With the link tree in my bio on both my Instagram and my Twitter. As always, Michael, it is a pleasure to be on here to talk about who is the GOAT of the NBA.
Yes. Jason, let's go ahead and go with you next.
What's up? I'm Jason Smith. I didn't add my handles, but it is D Jason Smith on Twitter and Instagram. And me too. I'm excited. I'm excited to get it going.
Nick, the co-host here.
I'm waiting on my contract, man. Y'all haven't sent me one yet, but
me too.
As the regulars are aware, it's Nick Andre here, basketball writer, analyst, covering everything from high school to the NBA. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at NickAndreATR and check out my link tree in my bio.
I'm still waiting on that Sean Kemp article.
I need it.
Still waiting on
I got you, man. It's gonna come really, really soon, sooner than you think.
Okay. All right, guys. As we seen in the comments, I think I can show our back screen. I'm going to try this again, see if it'll work here since we're live now. The episode today, no, still not showing it, is it? What if I just do this? No, still ain't showing a thing. Well, in my background, but you can't tell. I thought it was going to be like super awesome, but I have LeBron James or Michael Jordan with their pictures in the background. Today's discussion, and it should be a good one, and I hope we get a lot of comments on this. Mark, as you all can see already, Unwrapped Sports, a fellow as well. He could not be here. Things came up. He said he is going to be active in the comments. He is a diehard Michael Jordan fan. That's all I'm saying is putting the hand up. Thank you. Hallelujah. I was hoping we'd have a little more range here, and I really didn't know where you all stood. Matt, being a younger guy, I actually kind of figured you would be a LeBron fan, especially being a Laker diehard, but actually you are a Michael Jordan fan, correct? Or at least the GOAT on this, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And Jason, how are we feeling here?
LeBron all the way.
LeBron all the way. Okay, so good. We got some difference. And Nick, let's hear it.
You gotta go, Mr. Air Jordan, Mr. Black Jesus.
There we go.
Mr. whatever you want to call him.
All of the above. The most important name that he has is the GOAT. Let's just be honest, right? So let's just go ahead and dive into this. We got some people live here with us. So hopefully, again, guys, leave your comment. Who do you guys think the greatest of all time in the NBA is and why? And Matt, let's hear your first point. Let's, again, like you kind of mentioned, here, let's have your opening statement of why Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time.
Well,
your timer has started.
There are many reasons why MJ is the greatest of all time, but one of the stat lines that has to be up there with one of the greatest is 6-0 versus 4-6. The man went to the NBA Finals 6 times, went 6-0, and the stat line that he puts up is all around incredible. His regular season stat line through 15 years was his career, averaging 30 points a game, nearly 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting almost 50% from the field, shooting 33% from 3 and 84% from the line just in the regular season. But what it matters most in the postseason, MJ steps up the most in the postseason. And when you look at his stat line in the postseason, he's nearly averaging almost 3 more points per game, 33.4 points in the postseason, nearly 7 rebounds, 6 assists, nearly 2 steals, a block a game, and is only, you have turnovers sometimes, only averaging 3 turnovers a game, but overall solid stat lines from Michael Jordan through 15 years. And even when he left, when he came back, leading one of the greatest teams of all time, the greatest team of all time, the 72-10 Chicago Bulls in 95-96. And just the teams that he took down. He didn't take down cakewalk teams like LeBron did in the Eastern Conference.
Ooh.
He took down like 64-win Supersonics with Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. Took down Karl Malone and John Stockton. Took down the bad boy Pistons, ended their dynasty. Even went through the Boston Celtics of the 80s. He dominated every team that he went through and performed fantastic in the playoffs. He never really had a bad game. You never really saw a bad game that Michael Jordan played throughout the playoffs. Hence why he is and should be known as the GOAT, because when it matters most, he never once, in all the years he was in the postseason, you never saw him have a bad series, unlike LeBron James.
Okay. Great opening statement. Jason, let's go ahead and turn it over to you so we can hear some stuff on LeBron. Then we'll get some of these comments that are coming in.
All right. For me, it's simple. With LeBron, you can literally start from before he even got to the NBA. Who do you know had more pressure than LeBron James entering the NBA than him? Who do you know had more? To where the point where he had to be at this level. If he didn't get to this level, he would have been a disappointment. Think about that. So then you get to the NBA, you drafted number 1, took Cleveland, your hometown, to obviously a terrible franchise. You win Rookie of the Year. You do what you can. The first 7 years, you can't get it done. You make it to the finals at 22 years old in your 4th season, but you weren't like Michael Jordan. You couldn't get that a top 10 pick in the draft. Why? Because LeBron always had the number 1 record in the East. You know what I mean? His team wasn't bad enough to get a good a high draft pick, so he couldn't get a Scottie Pippen.
I'm gonna give you 2 points there.
And then obviously the ownership is terrible. Dan Gilbert was obviously horrible. Couldn't even get him the man wanted Amari Stoudemire. Couldn't even get Amari Stoudemire to him. So what is he supposed to do? He can't get a Scottie Pippen. He can't get a Robin. So what do? He ushers in another reason why I think he's a GOAT, the player empowerment era. He changes the whole NBA to where now the players can put their own destiny in their own hands instead of leaving it to management to control everything. They can make any trade. They can put the Celtics together. But when LeBron makes his decision to do the same thing, it's such a terrible thing. It's such a terrible thing. Okay, he goes to Miami. Yes. He choked in 2011. He had a blemish. He messed up. But didn't Michael Jordan, wasn't he losing in the first round multiple years before he even got Scottie Pippen? I remember, nobody ever wants to talk about it. I don't remember because I didn't see it. But didn't Michael Jordan lose to Shaq in the playoffs? I get that he had just came back, but he did win 3 rings. Left, came back, and then did he? I'm just saying, everybody has mess ups. He had a mess up. I don't understand why. I never understood why getting put out in the first and before the finals was better than getting put out in the finals, but I never understood that. Okay, so then
I will agree with you on that. I don't know why, and I'm Michael Jordan, but I'm going to try to stay as neutral as possible here. I've always wondered that because, one thing I do like is Michael Jordan did go 6-0, but there's a lot of teams that he did not make it through to get to the finals a few. Now, granted, those were stacked teams, the Pistons, even the Celtics and all that, but I almost feel like that would almost hinder a little bit. But again, carry on. I won't interrupt no more.
Oh, no, for sure. That's good. But okay, even that. and I think about the teams, like, I don't think that Michael Jordan ever even beat Larry Bird. And I think he only beat the Pistons when they got old. And I believe every time he won a championship, he had the best team. I don't remember that for LeBron. I don't remember that. I remember, he won 2 in Miami. He had the best team at OKC. That second year, I don't know if they had the better team than San Antonio. D-Wade was not D-Wade. D-Wade was averaging about 15 points in the finals, but nobody ever wants to remember that. Okay, so then he goes home. He goes back to Cleveland. He said, I promise I will bring my city. I will bring my city a championship without question. I will bring my city a championship. They never seen it. Does it in the most dramatic fashion in the greatest NBA finals of all time, without question. 73-9, greatest regular season team of all time, first unanimous MVP, greatest backcourt of all time when we really think about it. Goes down 3-1 and then comes back and win. And then he goes to LA. He goes to Los Angeles. The biggest star goes to the biggest market. And what does he do? The first year doesn't work out. He get injured. Okay. He gets AD. Come on. In the middle of a pandemic. Come on. Win the championship. Wins his fourth Finals MVP. First player to win a Finals MVP with 3 different teams. Are we anywhere he goes? He didn't have the luxury of like Michael Jordan had a consistency. He didn't have Phil Jackson. He didn't have that. So he just go whatever they handed him, he won a championship. Every team he's played for, he's won a championship. That's all I got to say.
Let's move it on over to Nick. Let's hear how you feel on this.
All right. Well, first of all, I mean, I definitely appreciate your points. You know, I think, well, you claim to make valid points. I don't know if they're actually true. But let me just say this. I respect LeBron James. I think LeBron James is definitely one of the greats. I think people sometimes take it for granted, and when he retires, the NBA will be in a different space. But let me just say this. LeBron's not number 1, and he's not number 2 either.
Ooh.
If you ask me, I got MJ number 1, the late great Kobe Bryant number 2.
That's my man there.
Then I got LeBron number 3.
Tell him.
And look, this is not a knock to LeBron.
He left on us.
Because LeBron James is great. But when we're talking about LeBron against Jordan, I think it's no debate that it's MJ. Now, like I said, LeBron is great. Let's not get me wrong. But here, I'm going to look up some stats. So I'm going from 1980. I'm going point average from 1986 to 1993. 37.1. 35 points, 32.5 points, 33 points, 31.5 points, 30 points, 32.6 points. The majority of that was before MJ even hit his prime. This is like from 86 to 93. So 4 or 5 of those years, MJ wasn't even in his prime yet. And yeah, you can say LeBron.
What was his rookie year? Was it 86 his rookie year?
It was 85, and he averaged 28.2.
Okay.
So I'll give you that. LeBron never lost in the never lost in the first round of the Eastern Conference, but who really in the Eastern Conference was really that legitimate threat to LeBron? I mean, you can't say Detroit when they had Chauncey, Rasheed Wallace, and those guys. You can say Boston when they had KG, Ray Allen, and those guys, but no disrespect, but those guys don't match up to an Isaiah Thomas or a Larry Bird or whoever, in my opinion. So, you know, when you look at that, you know, you're basically going up against a dynasty. Boston was winning, or Boston was at least getting to the finals damn near every year. Then later on, Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons were getting to the finals every year. So, in my opinion, the Eastern Conference back then was a lot tougher than what the East was when LeBron was going through the East.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have to admit that. Matt, I want you to do something while Nick continues to talk, okay? Can you look and see the rounds that he lost in, those first rounds, what they were ranked? Because I don't think Cleveland was ever not ranked number 1 in the East.
They were at least top 5, top 6 every year. I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna say they were number 1 every year, but they were at least around that range.
Yeah, the Cavs were consistently one of the top teams of the Eastern Conference at that time period. But I kind of want to also follow up on Nick's point of, even when he made it past the East through the bad boy Pistons and the Boston Celtics, he then has to play the heavy Western Conference. Clyde Drexler and the Portland Trailblazers in 92. You got to play through Charles Barkley and MVP in 93.
Let's not forget, Barkley was the MVP that year.
The 91 Lakers with Magic Johnson and James Worthy still there at 91, and even later
let's not even forget how he had to go get past teams like the Pacers and the Knicks just to get to the finals. People forget the Knicks were contenders around that time with Patrick Ewing, you know, and the rest of those guys.
Starks.
Yes.
But if I ask you a question, who who had the better team in all of those series that you named? Like who had like clear cut best team?
Honestly,
Are you saying like the Cavaliers or the Bulls between those two?
No, I'm saying Michael Jordan. Like with every team he beat, boom, boom, boom. He had the clear best team. He was never
because they had Michael Jordan. That was why. The thing about it is that you have LeBron James. LeBron James' team should always be the top because he's the best player in the world.
But the Bulls, they won 57 games with Mike. So Mike leave, and then they went 55, and they still get to the playoffs and win around.
You also have to consider the fact, Jason, they still had Phil Jackson as a head coach, one of the greatest head coaches of all time. So even if he did leave, you still have to think it wouldn't be as much of a fall off. Yeah, you could say whenever LeBron leaves the team stinks, but they don't really have good head coaches. Like, name one head coach where LeBron left where like is a respectable coach. Eric Spoelstra, and that's about it. The other coaches are pretty much irrelevant.
I feel like that adds to my point. Like I feel like that's exactly like
okay. I'm gonna do this. So let's break down LeBron's time in the finals. 07 against San Antonio. I'll give him a pass. Like there was no way he was beating.
There's no way he's going through that Spurs dynasty.
Yeah, 2011 against Dallas.
Okay.
Your first year with D-Wade and Chris Bosh.
Hang on, let's go back to the Spurs. As far as execution, the Spurs had the best. But, I mean, as far as talent-wise, do you not think the Heat was still top on that?
Wait, in 2014?
Well,
the Spurs.
2007, he was
Michael, we're talking about 2007.
Oh, Spurs.
He was with Cleveland in 07.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so that slipping. Okay.
That team had guys like Zydrunas Ilgauskas, Daniel Gibson, Larry Hughes, and those guys.
Drew Gooden.
They were not beating Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, and those guys. So 2011, I'll give him a pass. Oh no, 2007, I'll give him a pass. 2011, first year with D-Wade, Chris Bosh, all the expectations are on you. And I'll admit, I mean, Dirk and the Mavs were like on top at that point. You know, they beat the Lakers, they swept the Lakers that year, and I want to say they beat OKC too, if I'm not mistaken, in the conference finals. So now you're going into that series. It's not the fact that they lost. It's the fact that LeBron wasn't up to LeBron standards. I want to say he averaged like 16, 17 a game that series. And then he had one game where he only had like 8 points the entire game. And I'm like, that's not going to cut it.
He was also bad when it counted in the fourth quarter. He was like Aang, the last airbender. When you need him most, he vanished.
That's a good analogy.
He made up for it. Because who has the most buzzer beaters in playoff history? LeBron James.
I mean, I will say the biggest thing that goes against LeBron James right now, oh, wow, great comment coming from Mark here, is that Dallas.
Dang. I wouldn't go that far, man. I would have never went that far.
That's his only blemish.
And that's a big blemish to me.
It is.
It really is. And I'll say this from a neutral standpoint. What hurts me so much as far as saying LeBron is the greatest, if he really wanted to make his triple headed dinosaur.
Big three.
Dinosaur, there we go. Big three. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. But I felt like the team should have came to him. Like, to me, anytime LeBron or if Michael Jordan would have had a team.
They did somewhat.
Well, I mean, he went to Miami is what I'm saying. Like, the first one, like,
they wouldn't get him.
I also think LeBron has pretty much like made his roster wherever he's went. You agree? I mean, even in Cleveland. So, I mean.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like that's good.
That is good. I'll say that's good. But I also think going back to your point on where when LeBron leaves, that team is garbage. Well, it's because, I mean, LeBron has orchestrated who he wanted to play around him to make him more ball dominant, more focal point. So when he leaves, it's hard for someone to fill that role and keep a ship going the same way. Like I'll even go with Nick's team, the Golden State Warriors. Even with Curry in that system, the way they played before, you take him out, they can still compete with that system. Now, obviously, they can't compete at that high level, but you can actually still fill positions that way. When it's a LeBron style, it's LeBron or nobody. Like you got to have a KD to run that. So if he leaves, your whole scheme is done for. So you're obviously going to be bad. You take out Michael Jordan, you got Pippen who could step into that role and still maintain that team because it was a system. Everyone knew their role. Now, if it was Michael Jordan on a team like Cleveland had, I think the same thing would have happened. The team would have been done because Michael Jordan would have done everything. So I feel like LeBron wanted that. Smart of him because it makes it look like he is so much more even better than what he is. I will say that.
I don't even think that makes him look better. I think that makes him better. Like you just said, like everything revolves around him. So all the pressure is on him. Everything is on him. He has to create everything. He has to do everything to win. What did Mike have to do? Mike just had to score because who led in rebounds, assists? Still,
Jesus Christ, that's a long freaking comment.
Travis, we'll come back with that one just a second. That's a novel there.
I understand he had defense, but I'm saying who led in rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks in those finals? Now, Mike, I saw Michael Jordan only led in points. LeBron has the only player to lead both teams in all 5 of the major stats. That's what I feel makes him better.
I mean, it definitely. I mean, he basically averaged a triple-double there towards the end on one finals. I couldn't tell you what year or whatever.
Triple-double. He's the only player that ever averaged a triple-double in the finals.
Obviously, he draw some respect there. That's why it's either 1 or 2, or in Nick's case, 3 position. I won't bring this back up because it was a novel and I couldn't read it while you were talking there. The difference between the two is MJ had more heart and was clutch scorer and had just as much athletic ability as LeBron, but LeBron, to me, is just a better playmaker. He is, to me, isn't the same category as MJ. LeBron is so much like magic. I can agree with that. I'll say this. I'm sorry, it's kind of small writing here. I'll say this. Game on the line as far as a shooter or a drive to the basket, I want MJ. Taking the shot and defensively, I would want MJ too. Okay. Sorry, I was struggling reading there. That was tiny for that novel. Travis, thank you for your comment. And everyone else so far, thank you for your all's comments. We've been trying to just throw them in here. The debate's been going good. Now, let's go with this. I'm going to bring up Mark's because it was actually where I was going to go. MJ won a Defense Player of the Year, and he's a 9-time All-NBA Defensive First Team. MJ, better defender. So where do we get to draw the categories of ways the most? Because, Jason has said a few times here that Michael Jordan led the team in scoring. And, of course, even here comes Robbie with something. Of course, LeBron has been robbed his career of not winning defense MVP.
Now, I'll admit, in 2013, he should have won it.
When Marc Gasol won.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll definitely give him that.
I do think that even some MVPs LeBron should have
won
as well.
And LeBron is a 7-time All-NBA defense. But
I also think that, when Michael Jordan was getting those Defensive Player of the Year, he was also leading the league in scoring too. So how do we weigh?
But hang on. Like stats aside, talking about defense. Like, I get it, LeBron is a 7-time all defensive first team or whatever, but there have been many occasions where LeBron does not play defense just because he wants to save that energy for the offense. I mean, which I do get, what I'm saying, he is aging, but I don't recall ever seeing like 33, 34, 35 Jordan ever taking a break on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm. Or even at all. I mean, the dude played with the flu. So let me ask you this. Okay, points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. How do we rank those as far as being number one? Because we automatically say points is number one. It doesn't matter who you are. That's why James Harden has won MVPs. I mean, obviously, it's just points. So, what is the second top category that you all say that helps this debate?
I think
I would say probably assists.
I'm gonna say rebounds just because. I'm gonna say rebounds just because that also plays a part on the defensive end as well.
Okay, Matt, what do you think?
So LeBron got that edge.
I honestly think you can make a case for either one, rebounds or assists. But I also kind of think it all depends on what perspective are you going to go at. If you're going to go more of the offensive approach, you're most likely going to say the assists are going to be more important. But if you're going to throw in a stat line of, well, do you perform more defense? You're going to say more rebounds. Mm-hmm. I personally think whenever it gets down to the crunch time near the end of the game, I'm going to ride with Nick and say I'd rather get the rebound, because if you get the more clutch rebounds, you get the opportunity. Whether
no
that
rebounds, no rings.
Rebound, exactly. Whether that's an offensive rebound or defensive rebound, you could either get a second chance to score, or you can get an opportunity to seal the deal. If it's an assist, yeah, you get an assist, but it's either an assist is one of those where it's like, yay, great, you move the offense around. Congratulations, anybody can do that. but rebounds is a very distinct thing to do, because if you could get a clutch rebound like the final minute of the game, you could control the game. The more rebounds you get, that's why I think it would go points, rebounds, then assists.
Here's this a comment, guys. We're all wrong. Oh no, actually, I'm sorry, Nick. You've got someone else here with you. Oh, but they have Kareem as number 2.
They got Kareem. Yeah. Hey, Kobe, greatest Laker of all time, got to be that second.
Only 2 Finals MVPs can't do it.
I would honestly say the only reason why that dude probably put Kareem is because the all-time leading scorer. That's the only reason probably why you put him up there.
And LeBron's about to pass him.
I've always wondered, how come we don't ever talk about Oscar Roberts in this conversation, Mr. Triple Double, even though he's been passed by
or even Mr. 11 Rings. Like, no one ever mentions Bill Russell in the top 5.
Yeah, or even Wilt Chamberlain. I mean,
I think the reason why Bill Russell probably doesn't get mentioned is just because it was pretty much the Celtics that dominated just that time frame. They didn't really play like really any tough teams besides the Lakers. That was it. They pretty much controlled it. I think with the rings that these players have earned, they've gone through great teams. Like Jason mentioned, LeBron, he went through a good Warriors team. MJ, he's been through good dominant teams like the Lakers or the Trailblazers or the Suns or the Jazz twice and Sonics. Like, they've gone through dominant teams. Those 50s and 60s Celtics, it was just pretty much them. That was it. And then the Lakers, and that was pretty much it. That's why Bill Russell doesn't really get mentioned as much on there. Yeah, he got 11 championships, but it's like, well, yeah. I mean, when you got pretty much just a dominant Bill Russell, you're expected to just win. There isn't any losing there.
But hey, God, I want to break down LeBron's finals again, just to make things clear. So, right, so we came off with 2011. You know, we all agreed that, you know, he didn't play well and he choked. 2012, he goes up against OKC. Many people could say, hey, that's a young team, but hey, I mean, they still made it to the final. So I'll definitely give up.
And it's crazy because Miami weren't the favorites. Because if you go look at the betting odds, they weren't.
That's true. That's true. So I'll give LeBron that one. 2013, they did win in 7, but for the most part, the Heat as a whole struggled throughout the majority of that series.
Listen, I'm sorry to interrupt, Nick. You could also make the case the Spurs lost that series. The Spurs had Game 6 in the bag. You could literally see the ropes were on the side. And if it weren't for, like Mark mentioned, Dr. Shuttlesworth, Jesus Shuttlesworth, Mr. Ray Allen hitting a clutch 3, LeBron would be 3-7.
Yeah, 3-7.
Everybody forgets that they were down by 10 going into the fourth, and LeBron James scored 16 points in the fourth quarter.
That's true.
They forget he did make the 3 to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he did make a couple clutch shots. So I don't know about it. I mean, yeah, Ray Allen did, of course. I mean, that's probably the greatest shot ever. But
I don't like the narrative of saving LeBron's career, but yeah, I mean, it was a big shot.
It didn't say. I mean, like, it was a big shot, but I mean, who does
it? Was a big shot, but I also think you could also make the case of why would Popovich keep Tim Duncan out the game? Because you have to mention, why did Chris Bosh get that rebound? Because Tim Duncan wasn't in that game. If Tim Duncan is in with the final 10 seconds left, Tim Duncan probably gets that rebound.
That's true.
And they probably close it off. So Bosh, he was expected to get the rebound, and it just so happens that probably one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time, Ray Allen, is perfectly in the corner, gets perfectly behind the three-point line, and hits one of the great shots we've seen in postseason history.
Nick, let's hear you. Keep on going the playoffs.
Definitely. All right, so 2013, I'll give LeBron that one, even though the Heat as a whole struggled to even get past that series. Now we fast forward to 2014, where they meet San Antonio again and they get dominated. LeBron had a pretty good stat. I want to say he averaged like 30 something a game, but everybody on that Heat team was somewhat gassed. I don't understand why. And San Antonio was just dominating them from the beginning. And then he goes back home, goes to Cleveland. They play him in 2015, and people can start the narrative that Kevin Love was hurt, Kyrie was hurt, but we got to remember they were up 2-1 on the Warriors, and Matthew Dellavedova was locking down Steph Curry. So that was the whole thing. You know, Steph couldn't get his shots off. Clay couldn't lead the team. LeBron was dominating. LeBron's averaging a triple-double. Then out of nowhere, they end up losing the rest of the series. I don't know how, you know, considering that was the Warriors before their dynasty even began, and it's a LeBron coming off of 4 straight finals. But to me, it's kind of inexcusable. What do you think?
I do not think it's inexcusable, because I think how can you expect one man to beat the best team in the league that season, single-handedly in the NBA Finals, the MVP.
They were dominating. They were dominating for part of the series.
But how can you expect that the whole series? Okay, yeah, he won 2 games. He did what he had to do. But how do you really expect Matthew Dellavedova to keep locking up Steph Curry? Like, you cannot. LeBron can do whatever he can do. If Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are both hitting, and you got Andre Iguodala, you got so much. If all of that's going, no matter what LeBron can do,
but let's not forget. I mean, even though they weren't all stars, LeBron still had guys like J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, and a few other guys. Tristan Thompson was a great player on the glass. So LeBron still had a team, in my opinion. Did he have all stars? No, he didn't. But he still had a pretty solid team, in my opinion.
Now, it's a solid team. It's a solid team going against the best team in the league, though.
But it's always the team that he wanted too. Like, I mean, he handpicked that team.
It's still the baby. It was still the baby Warriors. That was the Warriors' first time in the finals, going up against a LeBron who just came off of 4 straight trips to the finals.
But that team was just simply better. Like like LeBron averaged 35, 13, and 8.
I'm gonna ask you this, all 3 of y'all. Either one, Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Do you think if any series that they lost in, if you asked them if they lost to the better team, that they would say they lost to the better team? Or do you think that they had said, no, we lost it?
I think LeBron knows that Kevin Durant Warriors were like better. It's no way.
I'll definitely give him a pass on that.
I would honestly say, like, if they're like a star player, they'd probably say to themselves that they just simply lost it. No, regardless of what the team is, if you're the main star player, you're the leader of the team. You kind of have to, I guess, in a way, kind of take it hard because you have to be the one guy to elevate the team. And if you can't elevate the team to get it there, I'm sorry, you didn't get the job done. Regardless of what the team status is, if you're a superstar player, you got to exceed expectations.
And I know I'm old school. I'm 35 years old. We had the players where you put in and say, hey, go give a hard foul on this best guy. Let's see if we can hurt him, have him a little gun shy. That was my era. So, in my head, and I've even seen quotes where Michael Jordan said, I never lost the game. I just ran out of time to come back. I just feel like the mentality has a super role in this. And I'm not trying to badmouth LeBron James in this. I've done it my whole life on this. So I'm just going to go to the Michael Jordan. Like, his mentality on things just seems so much more superior than everyone. It's either cutthroat. I'm going to win. I don't care how I'm going to get this win. I'm going to get this win. I'm going to talk bad about your mother if it gets to your head where you can't play ball just so I can get this win. When on LeBron James, it's like, in my opinion, I feel like it's, hey, best friend, come over here and play with me so we can win this game and then maybe go make a playoffs run. I don't think Michael Jordan ever did that. And I'm not trying to badmouth him in any way on that. The other day I was talking to somebody, and I can't remember what year it was, but I went through the top 100 players. It was this year, I'm sorry, with Anthony Davis and Westbrook and LeBron James on the same team. It was like number 1 ranked, number 7 ranked, number 15 ranked. And I went to Michael Jordan's one of his year, and it was like Michael Jordan number 1. It was Charles Barkley and some other great all-star. I'm sitting there thinking, if that team ever would have happened and played together, it would have been probably an undefeated team. And that's why it kind of irks me more to think that people think LeBron is the best when he has all this great talent around him on one team and they're not dominating. If these same ranked players were on Michael Jordan's team, I feel like it is almost undefeated season every year. I can't ever prove that, obviously, but that's how I feel.
But here, I'm going to remind y'all of something. People may forget because Jason's talking about how the Warriors were a better team than the Cavs. But I can recall, and you might be able to find us on YouTube, I don't know, but I remember in a press conference of that series, LeBron said, quote, I am the best player in the world.
Yeah, of course.
I remember that. So when you say, you're still the best player.
Thank you, Mark.
But you can't
when you make the claim of saying you're the best player in the world, I believe to Nick's point, I believe it was either tied at 2 or they were down 3-2. Yeah, I believe they were down 3-2, and LeBron said, "I'm simply the best player in the world." And what happens? They lose Game 6. You can't say you're the best player in the world and proceed to lose the Game 6 and lose the finals. That's just that does not help your case one bit.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I call all talk, no action. MJ said in Game 6 when they played the Utah Jazz, pack one piece, one suit. We ain't going to game 7. We're only bringing one suit. What does MJ and the Bulls do? They pack the one suit and they get the job done and they win the chip.
Can I ask
That's
you this?
the difference.
Can I ask you this?
Yes, sir.
Did MJ have Scotty?
Well, yes, of course MJ.
Did he have Phil Jackson? Didn't he have like the best team? So I mean,
the Utah Jazz were a damn good team too.
They were not.
They also had a good head coach.
Here's the thing,
They
though,
also
like,
had one of the best head coaches of all
you're
time.
bringing up Scotty and Phil Jackson, but here's the thing,
I'm
though.
saying that's the difference. LeBron didn't have his second best player was Matthew Dellavedova, and you expected him to beat the MVP and the best team in the league. Yeah, he's the best player. He proved it by doing what he do. He didn't win because he didn't have the best team.
Okay, so I'm going to ask this. Does LeBron James get a point for winning the finals when the Warriors were hurt?
When were they hurt?
In 2016?
When
he got suspended one game.
When Draymond got suspended, yeah.
Wait, Andrew
Bogut was out too.
Andrew Bogut got hurt. Iguodala got hurt. And I think somebody else got hurt too. I can't remember.
I want to say that Klay Thompson was hurt, but he just stays hurt. And I don't think he really was. I just think he's been hurt.
Steph was playing through injury too.
Oh my
Lord. We're just saying that's kind of the same for that Cleveland team because they had Love and Kyrie.
But here's the thing, though. Like, you go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll give LeBron credit in the 2016 finals.
Exactly.
It's probably one of the best performances we've ever seen, just because a 73-win team down 3-1. That's
the greatest.
We've never seen that. They're literally the only team to ever come back from down 3-1. That's you could say out of all the championships LeBron has won, that's the one that he earned the most. Like, plain and simple, you can't make any arguments of why he didn't deserve that. He earned that ring in 2016.
It was rigged.
And you talk about mentality. It's literally a video after game 5 of that finals of LeBron in the locker room saying, "We got him. It's over. We got him. The series is done." And that's against a 73-9 Warriors team. And going back to the 2015 finals, or the 2016 finals when you said people were hurt. No, the equivalence would be if Klay Thompson and Draymond Green were hurt, and it was just Steph Curry and the Warriors going against LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. That's the equivalent. When the role players, no.
I will say, Bogut is definitely not up there.
The Warriors on the time, but Bogut was a solid starting center at that time. A lot of people forget, like, Andrew Bogut played a key role in like 2015, 2016 Warriors, that early dynasty. Andrew Bogut was like the key center, like the go-to guy.
But here's my thing, though. Like, this is why I will give it to LeBron for that 2016 year. Because even though Draymond did get suspended for Game 5, he was still available for those last 2 games. And he dropped 32 in that Game 7. So I would definitely give it to LeBron. LeBron had 41 in both Game 5 and 6. Definitely carried the load for his team. And then showed up in Game 7 and had that triple-double. So yes, I would definitely give it to LeBron for that one.
Sorry, guys. I was trying to share a screen real quick here.
But here's the thing, though. But I will say 2017 and 2018, I'll definitely give LeBron a pass just because nobody was beating that KD Warriors team.
And LeBron did all he could.
Yeah, well, I will say LeBron did everything he could in Game 1 of 2018 when he dropped 51, and then Henny God showed up and decided to catch the rebound and decided not to shoot.
And LeBron did average 34 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists.
But you know what? I mean, we're speaking on that Game 1 where he did score 51. I mean, I do agree. It was phenomenal. But people forget LeBron. I don't think LeBron scored in that overtime either, which definitely changed the whole dynamic of how that game went.
That's like KD for not scoring against the Bucks this year. Like, you tired, you gas, you did everything.
Oh, you know what? I thought.
Okay, hang on. That's different though. KD is going in a Game 7 versus a Game 1 of the finals. Of course, he's gassed.
But LeBron had to go the whole. Do you remember that whole playoffs? He wasn't even supposed to make it to the finals. That's what Jordan Clarkson. That's when he had to carry them through the Pacers, carry them through the Raptors, carry them through all these. KD didn't have to carry them through. What? He didn't have to. He had to play 3 games without Kyrie. LeBron had to play the whole season and the whole playoffs with nobody.
But still, though, like,
I will will throw out 1 point in the 2017 NBA Finals. Yeah, they were down 2-0 in Game 3, but the Cavs had a damn good opportunity to win Game 3, and LeBron and company choked that Game 3 away. If we're being quite honest here, the Cavs roughed double digits in that Game 3. KD came back, they won that game, and eventually we knew the series was over. But if we're looking back at that, if the Cavs win that Game 3, they do win Game 4. That series tied 2-2 going into Oracle. That's a different ball game.
But it's just so tough because, like, you looking at the floor and you got the greatest shooter of all time. You got a top 5 shooter of all time. You got top 2 scorer of all time.
But you were still up by double digits and you failed to perform.
But you also got
you didn't get the job done at the end, which is the difference between MJ and LeBron. MJ got the job done at the end of the game when it matters most.
So you think
LeBron vanished into Game 3?
You think MJ would have beat KD Warriors in the finals?
Oh, absolutely, he could have. If he had his squad, if he had MJ,
I'm not gonna go there.
He would.
I'm not gonna go there. I'm not going there.
No,
he would beat him in 5-6 games, no problem.
I don't know about that one.
I can't. Do
Okay,
that.
like, real quick. Guys, if you've enjoyed this so far, please go check out our Patreon, patreon.com/unwrappedsports. We have 3 tiers that you can donate to, or a membership, if you will. $1 for a month just lets us know, hey, general support. $5 a month gets you 10% off with a promo code for our Patreon code, to our Teespring shirts, which is teespring.com/store/unwrapped. And then also we have a $10 per month where you get 20% off in that Teespring. And also you get access to our Discord chat where you can chat with us and we can have this debate even more. Also, we have a memorabilia that we give away each month. We haven't decided yet what we're going to do for August, but go to Patreon and give us your support if you're enjoying the show so far. I want to go back real quick. Now we did that one. Let me get back on this screen. I'm going to say this for myself. I think Michael Jordan would have had a hard time with the Warriors just for the fact that I think defensive-wise, I think Michael Jordan could have locked up any one of them. I really do. But there are so many different weapons on there that I think
Steph would have been in hell.
Yeah, I feel like the other ones would have picked up the slack for the Golden State Warriors. Scottie Pippen, I think, could have matched up with KD. Now, when I say match up, I'm not saying stop. It's almost like what LeBron did when Iggy was guarding him, who got the MVP for just guarding LeBron, who still averaged like 50 points. How does that happen? That, to me, is a point for LeBron. Someone gets MVP just because he guards you, but yet you still are cooking as much as you are. But anyways, so I'm going to say that I think the Warriors and the Bulls would have probably went to Game 7. I'm not going to say who I think would win. I'm just going to say that. Now,
do this. Put Michael Jordan in LeBron's shoes. They're not winning.
They're not winning, but they're not getting swept.
They're not getting swept. They're losing in 5.
No, in 2018 with Jordan Clarkson, they're getting swept.
No. They're going at least 6. If you have MJ in there, they'd go 6.
Your second best player. Who is the second best player on the 28 Cavs?
Michael Jordan and the first. That's how good he
is. No way.
I mean,
they're not winning the game.
Michael Jordan, the physical is number 1. Michael Jordan, the mentality.
Like
is
Michael Jordan can score
50.
KD can do the same thing.
That's one thing we haven't even went to yet. What do you all feel? And of course, I'm being biased on this. If we switch roles, not teams and all, but errors. If Jordan played in now's time and LeBron played in his time, do you think their outcome would have still been the same? Because there's a lot of debate on that. Who would have been better? Who is soft and who could take the hits? How do you all feel on that? And Jason, I want to come to you first on that because I feel like LeBron would have struggled more in the 90s.
No way. Especially so do you mean just put him in an era or put him on the Bulls?
Just put him in the era.
Both.
Oh, if you put him on the Bulls, he's 6-0 in the finals, just like Mike. Like it's not gonna be. You give him Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen. What? Of course he's winning. Like I don't understand why people think LeBron is 6'9", 260. They think because of now the rules are different, so he takes advantage of those rules. Mm-hmm. But players adapt. Like LeBron would ease. People act like LeBron didn't come in 2003. 2003, the NBA was not how it is right now. Like, not at all. LeBron been through physicality. LeBron just adapted to the game. And which
I don't think LeBron's been through the physicality in the 80s and 90s, though.
No, not like Mike.
I mean,
I'm about to say, because Mike was getting clotheslined.
Yeah,
he
like,
was.
There was times when he would try to jump off the floor and his body didn't leave, but his feet did. I mean, that was the only thing that left the floor.
But that's blaming LeBron for a different generation. This is just different.
No. I'm not taking it away from him or anything on that. I just want to know how y'all feel on that. And Nick, what about you? How do you feel on that?
Okay. So let's do this. Okay, so let's place LeBron on that Bulls team and let's go through three series. 91 against the Lakers. I believe they do get through that series. 92 against Portland. Portland was a pretty tough team, but I definitely think that he does get through that series. 93 against Barkley, Dan Marley, Kevin Johnson, and those guys. That I believe that series probably goes 7 with LeBron.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. And then you fast forward 90. Now I ain't gonna lie, 96 Seattle, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. That series might go 7 as well. What's that?
I think the Seattle Supersonics would win that.
No.
I honestly think that Sean Kemp and just his athleticism.
They won like what 65 games that year?
64.
Yeah, like
what
64?
about LeBron and his athleticism?
Okay, this is where I'm a little biased on that part. I think LeBron James comes down low one time and gets met by Sean Kemp, and Kemp puts his tail on the ground. I think LeBron starts shooting threes.
Never.
Because here's the thing, though.
Never.
But here's the thing that you don't realize: the physicality of that era compared to this era plays a significant role because refs are not calling certain calls. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're driving to the basket and you get hit in the face in the 90s, they're not really calling that. They may call it once every 20 possessions. But now, yes, I mean, yes, they're calling that. So the physicality was definitely different. And I'll admit, I mean, I've seen many times LeBron probably get like touched on the nose, and he's over here like checking if he bleeds.
He's even trying to sell it too. He's even trying to sell it too. I'll even throw in some point as well. What Nick mentioned, if you put LeBron in the 90s on that same Bulls team, I do agree with Nick in the fact of they still probably beat the 91 Lakers. The 91 Lakers were not the same as the 80s Showtime Lakers because obviously they were older. So I think LeBron wins that series. 92 against the Trailblazers. I think I would also give the nod to LeBron, but I do think it would go to 7. 93 with the Phoenix Suns and MVP Charles Barkley. I honestly think the Phoenix Suns probably could have won that series. If LeBron's on that Bulls team, I feel like Charles Barkley in the company because you got to think Charles Barkley, MVP of the league. I think Phoenix would have opportunity to win that series. And then obviously you put him in, 96 against the Sonics. I don't think they beat Seattle. I think Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, they win that series. And I do believe the Jazz at least win 1. So I think LeBron will go 3-3 in that 90s era, which is still impressive. 3 rings in the 90s is still impressive. But I just think with how MJ played is so impressive. I mean, you also have to include the fact in an NBA Finals, he was so dominant, they never went to 7. If you look at the stat, every Finals was either 5 games, a sweep, or 6 games. They never had to worry about a game 7 when you had Mike. You knew when you had Mike on the court, it was going to be over in 6.
Can I ask one question?
Always.
Okay. So all those teams Mike faced, has any of those teams been in the conversation for the greatest team of all time? No. But
I'll give you that.
The Warriors were 1 game away.
But here's the thing:
being crowned the best team ever, and LeBron beat a team better than Michael Jordan ever beat. So that's
here's the thing with your point, though.
Like,
who are they comparing them to?
who?
Oh, the Bulls. Better than the Bulls with Michael Jordan.
But here's your point, though, because here's the thing: like you bring up Scottie Pippen, Jordan had Pippen, and Jordan had Phil Jackson. But at the end of the day, the Bulls win those finals because Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons why I am hard on LeBron, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who LeBron has. At the end of the day, you're LeBron. You're still the best player in the world. You are held to those regards at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you have. At the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about getting the job done, and that's the difference between Jordan and LeBron.
But it's much easier to get the job done when you got the best team. Like,
okay. So what's the excuse for 2014 against San Antonio when they had D-Wade?
D-Wade was not D-Wade. Go look at the stats. D-Wade was not D-Wade. D-Wade was hobbled. D-Wade was averaging 14, 15 points in the finals. D-Wade was.
You still got Bosh. You still got Ray Allen. Still got.
Let me go look.
Shane Battier.
None of them averaged more than 17 points.
They still also had the killer one-shoot Mike Miller, right?
That wasn't getting. That was.
But my point to you is that LeBron still had a team.
That was. He had a team, but it wasn't the overwhelmingly the better team. Like he had a team. The team was not even better than the 2014 Spurs. They were not better. They were not better than the Spurs. If D-Wade was D-Wade, they would have been better.
Do you think Wade wasn't as good because LeBron was on the team?
No, I think Wade was just injured.
LeBron definitely took a step back when LeBron came. LeBron definitely, D-Wade definitely took a step back.
He has to. Honestly, this is one thing I've not liked about LeBron. Every All-Star that he plays with almost gets worse while LeBron's there.
It's not that they get worse.
I don't know about Kyrie.
They don't get worse.
Kyrie's probably the only one. Kevin Love was like double every night, 20 points, 20 rebounds. He goes to Cleveland, and now he may play 20 games in a season. Granted, he's hurt a lot.
But it's easy to get 2020 when you're the only person there to get them. Like somebody got to get it. Like you know what I mean?
I agree, and it's Minnesota, so there's going to be at least 50 missed shots during those times. But he at least was in there. When he goes to, I'm going to say LeBron Cavaliers, he wasn't down low to get rebounds. He was outside so LeBron could have the lane to drive. Like a lot of times LeBron's offense is he dribbles down as far as he can, backing them down, and then he's either going to try to get fouled and score or kick it out last second for someone to shoot a three. So it even took Kevin Love, who made All-Stars as a big man down low, back out, and then he could shoot too, to be in basically a perimeter four extended out. So, it almost changed Kevin Love completely of what he is. And then you look at even Chris Bosh. He was great in Toronto, but then when he went to Miami, he was still great. But I think even his numbers dropped some. And then the blood clots happened, and then poor guy's out completely.
Well, that's not his fault either. When you're playing with LeBron and D-Wade, that's
your numbers have to drop. Yeah. They have to drop. That's what I'm saying.
With Kyrie and LeBron, like you the third option, you got to sacrifice.
But Kyrie won a championship for
LeBron. But that's the thing. Like Kevin, we can all agree. Kevin Love. Even though his numbers did significantly drop, Kevin Love was not the same Kevin Love that he was in Minnesota. Like Kevin Love kind of moved into more of a stretch big. Like what I'm saying, he wasn't crashing the glass like he used to. Like Kevin Love was a completely different Kevin Love compared to what he was in Minnesota.
He was a bit more injury prone too, though. He was injured a lot. Like he was injured a lot. He was getting injured much more frequently than when he was in Minnesota. When he got to the Cavs.
Matt, you've been quiet for a little bit. What you got?
I personally agree with you guys as well. You have Chris Bosh as a third option. He's obviously gonna take a slight decrease, just because of all the role players. I also want to pull up this comment because I believe it's factually true. 96 team was the best team ever, hands down, just because you got a ring. 72-10, I believe it was on the shirt. 72-10 don't mean a thing unless you got a ring on it. Yeah, the Warriors got 73-9. But what do they got to show for it? Nothing. It's just like all four of us. We don't have a NBA championship ring. They're just like us on the couch just chilling. So it's like, and I also kind of want to throw out some other points. It all makes sense. From the standpoint of, yes, in 2014, LeBron, he had an okay series. It wasn't peak LeBron by all means, but he was the best player on the floor. If you look at it from 2014, Jason, he did make some good points on it wasn't the same Dwayne Wade. Yes, it makes sense. It was the same D Wade because he was hurt and stuff, and obviously what wasn't the same players, but just the way how they lost wasn't as good, because in 2013 that thing went to 7 games. It was competitive all series long. 2014, it was a quick 5-game series. A young Kawhi Leonard shut the team down. It wasn't as dominant as we thought. Like when we saw the Spurs and the Heat matchup in 2014, we thought it was going to be another good 7-game series, all that. But it was overall disappointing, and that could lay into a factor of whether it's Whether it's LeBron complaining about cramping up, even though it's in a regular basketball indoor stadium, there was that. Whether that's D Wade not stepping up because of old age.
I'll give LeBron a pass on those cramps just because apparently it was like 100 degrees in that
It was like
arena.
105 degrees. It was terrible.
Nick, you giving LeBron way too many passes tonight.
Because
Man.
he understands. Like he understands. He's being unbiased.
Hey, I mean, it's like I said earlier. Look, I respect LeBron. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Right.
one of the LeBron haters that's like, oh my god, LeBron is the worst thing ever happened. But I do, yes, like you, Michael. But whenever we're comparing him and Jordan, I gotta give it to Jordan. I mean, it's really just that simple.
I do want to also throw out the points of after 2017, 2018, which I think we could all agree on. He gets somewhat of a pass because you weren't really going through that Warriors team. But afterwards, what really has LeBron done since then? He goes to the Lakers first year. Yeah, he was banged up with injuries. But then, 2020 happens. Yeah, they win the NBA championship. But really, like, what else was going to happen? They were expected to win the chip from the start. Congratulations. You get a championship that you were supposed to get. Great.
I thought the Clippers.
Hell no, the Clippers weren't doing nothing. Come on, Jason.
I'm a LeBron fan. That's all I heard.
Going into that season, the Clippers were favorites. I will say that.
All I heard was Clippers.
But come on.
I mean, it was either LA team. It was either LA team.
Especially with Kawhi coming out for that championship in Toronto as well. So yeah, like the Clippers were definitely
the Clippers always find a way to choke in the big moments. Let's be real here. Besides what went down last year, where they finally made it to the conference finals after 53 years, we all knew they were going to find.
It was Doc Rivers. It was Doc Rivers. I'm not going to say the Clippers.
Finally,
well, yes, and your point also makes sense, Nick, when Doc Rivers goes to Philadelphia and they lose in the second round to a Hawks team who had no business even being in the second round at the said time. But anyways, like I mentioned, you look at LeBron James and even last year in the playoff run, it wasn't that good. It was kind of a bad look for LeBron. You also have to look at the Lakers at that time. They were one of the better teams. Yes, they did fall to a 7th seed due to injuries and stuff. But when you're out there on the court, you have to play well. And I honestly, I don't like LeBron how he played against the Phoenix Suns. I honestly, to my honest opinion, he was pathetic. It was one of the worst series he's played. I wouldn't say it's as bad as 2011. But you can make an argument like it was the second worst playoff series just because his team wasn't in it. He had no mojo. He had nothing. He was honestly embarrassing. You look at I even want to throw out Game 5. You're down 30 points and you walk to the locker room with 5 minutes left in the ball game. Yeah, you're down by 30. You're going to lose a game. But why are you walking to the locker room with 5 minutes left in the game? That's not a good look, especially when you're the leader. And then on top of that, you lay a goose egg at Game 6 and you lose in the first round, which, to his credit, it is his first ever time he lost in the first round. But I just kind of look at it from that perspective of you don't see MJ, regardless of how big they're down by, he stays with this team. But LeBron, sometimes when things gets tough, he walks away. And I think for LeBron's standpoint this year, he has the guys that he wants. He has to do good this year. And in my honest opinion, this season could possibly seal the deal for the GOAT debate. Because I'm going to be the first to say this. If LeBron don't win a championship this year, I don't want to hear a word of him being in the GOAT debate. He has the players that he wants. He has
the debate's already sealed anyway.
Westbrook. He has Carmelo Anthony. Well, it is sealed, but some people like Jason have it open.
Yeah.
This year, if LeBron fails to win a championship, I don't want to hear him in the GOAT debate. He has the players that he wants. Go out there and win it. It's right, that Jason, simple. If he wins his 5th ring this year, the door's still open. But if he doesn't win, the door has to close.
All right, Jason.
It's just like
all right, man. All right, man.
Last thing, I'm not throwing a joke. It's like the O.J. Simpson glove case. If it can't fit, you must acquit. If you don't win the chip, seal the deal. Close the door.
You should have stopped when I said.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. Let's hear you. Okay, good try. Good try.
So first off, this year, we do understand that LeBron's coming off of the shortest offseason and him specifically. the shortest offseason in sports history, like in the history of sports, the shortest after just winning the championship in the bubble. He just came off the shortest offseason in sports history. And then on top of that, then when he first came in, he was an MVP candidate. He was probably number one. I remember him as number one before he got a high ankle sprain. Probably the worst injury of his career, in which he came back early for.
I wouldn't say it's as bad as his groin injury, though.
I think that, it's up for debate. Those are the two biggest injuries of his career. So it's like he's playing on one leg out there without AD. AD already hobbled. He's playing one leg out there, and he's going against the eventual Western Conference champions. So I don't know. I give him a pass.
But he was up 2-1. He was up 2-1 in that series.
What AD though? AD had played. AD was playing. It was playing good in those wins. When AD go down, now it's Bron on one leg with Montrezl Harrell, and I got to go against the Western Conference champions.
But the thing is, the Clippers didn't have Kawhi Leonard, and what happens? They make it to the conference finals. But LeBron doesn't have one guy, and they get bounced in the first round.
But they both lost to the same team.
But the Clippers made it to the conference finals. The Lakers get bounced in the first round. It doesn't matter what team. They still lost in the first round. But Clippers made it to the conference finals.
The Clippers beat them in the first round if they were.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so it's just like if the Clippers were first round against the it was the same.
Here's my only thing that I'll say about the short season. There was a huge gap in the season of 2019 or 2020, whatever. I feel like there was quite a bit of rest in that season alone because they shut the whole country down for like 3 months. So there was
from March to July, like a 4-month off season.
And that's something that's never been talked about that because, it's always been a narrative. This is the shortest season. Players are complaining. That's actually something I've always wondered. Why are we not even talking about that? Like, it's almost like you had too many seasons in that time span because the season started, I think, November or something like that. I can't even think.
It started in December. It was December.
Well, no. I'm talking about before the break because they started regular time in March. It ended for 3 months.
And then they started up the bubble like the last day of July 31st.
And that was like for 10 games, I think. Then it went to the playoffs. And then for like 28 days or something like that. I can't remember. I'm just throwing numbers out here. So I almost feel like, yes, it was a short off season, but you move that to also what they had during the mid-season, basically, too. It was 2 off-season, and I don't think that's ever talked about because I do think that takes into place. Like, LeBron actually was fresh coming into that playoffs because of the long period, and then you come back to the end of the season, and he's got another time to recuperate. Now, I'm not saying that I think they're wrong on saying a short season. I just feel like that should also be talked about a little bit, too, because they had 3 months where they sat at home to rest then as well. Nick, you've been quiet on us over here. You even fell asleep on us once, I think. You had your head down.
Nah, man, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to all the conversations that you guys are having. But okay, here's the thing. Like, I do want to point out one thing that Jason said like earlier in the show because he briefly discussed how Michael Jordan and the Bulls lost to Shaq in their Magic. But let me explain to you guys. Do people not remember that MJ came back in like middle of March after just playing baseball? That man was nowhere near in the shape that he was. And he still was able to even get them to the second round. Like, you know what I mean? Like, say for instance, so let's say for instance, MJ never retires. He never leaves after that 93 finals, and he just plays throughout the year. Do we see them winning in 94 and 95?
I would think so. I mean, if they keep the same team, if they keep the same team, they have a really good chance of winning on 94 and 95. Yes, they would have to go through Hakeem Olajuwon twice, but I would think they would find a way to shut down Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler, which if MJ still would be around, you would have to feel bad for Clyde Drexler because he wouldn't have catch a break. He would have lost to MJ in 92 and in 94, 95.
So we praise Michael Jordan for having a 1.5-year break. But we talk about how LeBron, we criticized Bron for having a 4-month offseason in the middle of the season, in which he said that that's actually worse because he was getting into playoff mode and now he got to all of a sudden just stop and then it come back. Now he said that that's actually harder on his body. He said that don't give me rest. He said he was ready to go. that messed him up even more.
Well, here's the thing, like I don't criticize LeBron for that because at the end of the day, you know, everybody's under that same circumstance. Everybody had that 4-month break.
Yeah,
everybody went into the bubble. Everybody was under the same circumstance and in the same position. So that's one of the reasons why I never, you know, criticize LeBron for that. Because I mean, like you even hear like some analysts be like, oh, they were in one little area the entire time. Everybody was under the same circumstance. Kawhi and the Clippers were. Who else you could say? Giannis and the Bucks were. So everybody was under that same circumstance. So that's why I honestly praise Bron for even being able to get a title in that bubble, just because everybody was in that same position.
And everyone in the bubble who played in the bubble, even reporters, everyone talked about how terrible it was and how hard it was to win in the bubble. It's us, the outsiders who weren't in the bubble, talking about how it's an easy championship, but everybody in the bubble talked about how hard and terrible that was.
It really makes me think, and this is getting off topic just a little bit, how hard or easy it was either or for the bubble, because we just have a championship team who basically wet the bed in the bubble as far as Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, they were a no-show in the bubble, and then like 1 year afterwards, they win the title. I mean,
that's true.
I always thought that was crazy because, I mean, they were a team that we thought, hey, this East team might actually do something in the bubble here. I think they were a first-round exit. I can't remember. Maybe second round. And then they go
for second round
1 year after that, and they win the championship. So kudos to them on that. Guys, honestly, we're an hour and 6 minutes in, and I don't know. I don't feel like we made any headway on who's the actual winner. But what else do we talk about here?
MJ 6-0, LeBron 4-6. Now just playing. But like my whole reasoning why why MJ is the GOAT is because sorry,
We'll cut that out.
I corrected myself. All right, so like the reason why I picked MJ as the GOAT is because even under the most pressure situations, he got the job done, regardless of who he had on his team or whatever. MJ got the job done. Here's the thing, though, like I mean, because like even you bring up MJ had Scotty, MJ had Phil Jackson. That 94 season, they did win 55 games, but they did also get crushed by the Knicks in the playoffs.
I mean, I wasn't there, but every time, all I hear is some missed call or messed up something. All I hear is that they were one call away from going to them. That's what I heard, though. I wasn't here.
But either way, I mean, if they would have had MJ, they definitely would have got that done. They definitely would have got that done if MJ was around. So at the end of the day, no matter how good or bad your team is, if you're the best player in the world, you're going to get that job done. LeBron James is held to that same circumstance, and he's gotten to 8 straight finals. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so obviously his team is pretty decent. You know what I mean? If you go to 8 straight NBA finals. So at the end of the day, because you are the best player in the world, you got to get that job done. So that's one of the reasons why I pick MJ ahead of LeBron.
Yeah, and also in that 8 straight finals run, he was less than 50%. 3 of 8. That's not a good percentage. You go to 8 straight finals and you only win 3 of them, regardless of what teams you go through. You only win 3 of them. It's not a good look. MJ went to 6 and got 6. He kept it 100. That's hard to do.
And honestly, like people have to stop downplaying like Jordan's opponents. I mean, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. He didn't play KD, Steph, Clay, and the Warriors, but we got to remember Charles Barkley was the MVP in '93.
Yeah, he still also played the mailman of
the Karl Malone and John Stockton.
He played one of the greatest point guards of all time in John Stockton. Played one of the greatest power forwards of all time in Karl Malone twice in back-to-back years. He then plays the round amount of rebound.
Foul.
The round amount of no, it was not. No, it was not.
It was an offensive foul.
It was a clean play by MJ. You knew the refs were going to call that.
Oh yeah, you don't call it.
You know, you're not calling that with the final 10 seconds of the game, regardless of what you play. Whether it's street ball, whether it's house ball, you ain't calling that. You could say like, "Yo, he pushed me up," but it's like, come on, dude, you just sucked at defense that play. Right, and then Jason, you also have to throw in. He also played other great players as well. He played Magic Johnson and James Worthy. He played Clyde Drexler.
Ewing.
Exactly, Patrick Ewing. And he played
Reggie Miller.
He played Reggie Miller in '98, which MJ even said himself in the Last Dance documentary that '98 Pacers team was probably the hardest team he ever faced, and he still beat them.
Jason, why do you pick LeBron?
I pick LeBron. I mean, and if you even want to talk about stats, I didn't even bring in stats. I didn't even bring in that he has the most points in playoff history. I didn't even bring in he's top 3 in assists. I didn't even bring in the fact that he's about to he's already 3rd all time in points. And we talk about him he's not even in the conversation for being the best scorer yet. He's already 3rd all time in points, and he's about to become number 1, like without question. And if you LeBron's whole GOAT case is the narrative. Y'all like to look on the surface, 6-0. That's 6-0. No, LeBron's whole story is the narrative. Like, it's the narrative of his whole career. It's coming from high school. It's going to Cleveland, not getting it done. Changing the NBA, going to Miami, winning 2 rings, going back home, promising you go win a championship, down 3-1. Against 73-9, going to the Lakers.
Didn't he also say in Miami they were going to win not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, but only with 2?
I mean, he was happy. He was happy. It was a parade. I don't really put much into it. He was just happy. He was happy, but. Yeah. LeBron's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. 4 rings, 4 Finals MVPs, 2nd most Finals MVPs of all time. That's why Kobe. I don't even know how Kobe.
Well, if you throw an Final MVPs, MJ got 6.
No, I know. I understand that. I'm just going off the list. I'm just going off the list of what he got. But the thing is, he got 3 rings, 1 with 3 different teams. The only player. Everywhere LeBron go, he has won a championship. Michael Jordan played on 2 teams. He only won championships on.
We are not counting the Wizards. We are not counting the Wizards. We didn't even bring them up for a reason.
He played on 2 teams.
Even at the age of 40, playing for the Wizards, he was averaging over 20 points.
This isn't 43-year-old Tom Brady on Tampa Bay where he just brings it in no matter where he goes and wins. This is a different Wizards team that was just utter mediocrity that even MJ can't save the Wizards, which means the Wizards are a dumpster fire.
LeBron went to the finals with a couple teams like that.
I don't know about that. The Cavs at least had Big Z and Anderson Varejao at the time. Had some solid players. The Wizards literally had nobody. Maybe Gilbert Arenas. That's about it.
And the thing about it is that even if MJ were able to lead those Wizards to the playoffs, like they were not getting past Indiana, they were not getting past Detroit in those teams,
or New Jersey too, because New Jersey at that time in the early 2000s they were running the East for a little bit.
Y'all give Michael Jordan a pass for his team not being as good, not winning, but not LeBron. I mean, LeBron has played more minutes than but
LeBron is playing with better solid players though. Okay, like so 2018, Jordan Clarkson, solid player. Jeff Green, solid player. Kevin Love, former All-Star. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, LeBron may have not had other All-Stars around him, but they were still solid players. They're still solid.
When you played for if we're really going to talk about the Wizards, I really think he was in his 40s playing, and like his second best player was Haywood. Like, I mean. The Wizards were a new team, and he still averaged 20 points at the age of 40.
But the thing is, LeBron still played more. He still had more knowledge, more minutes, more all of that. He still played more. And this was like
the 3rd time LeBron came out, or Jordan came out of retirement too. So I mean, I think the Wizards, we just kind of got to cut.
Why are we even talking about the Wizards?
I just don't think it's fair because I thought we gotta talk about total career. Like LeBron, we don't dissect, we don't do with Michael Jordan. We cut off 2 years.
We
gotta talk about everything.
MJ was never supposed to come back.
Career. See, but he did. That's his fault.
But here's the thing. Like,
I actually think he came back to sell tickets. I mean, he owned the Wizards.
I was gonna say, didn't he also own the Wizards too? And he tried to be like Will Ferrell in semi-pro, and just run the whole tropics.
Let's say, for instance, like in 2-3 years, LeBron retires, and then he decides to come back in like 2027 and play for the Cavs again, and they don't make the playoffs. I'm not
with Bronny.
Yeah, I'm not holding that against like a 42, 43-year-old LeBron, in my opinion.
No.
He won't leave. He's going to just keep playing. He won't leave. He won't have to leave.
I mean, he may leave another team and go somewhere else to play.
Oh, yeah,
whoever's better. But I mean,
nobody wants to stay in. No, not whoever's better, because every team LeBron has went to, their record was like not good, like at all. He never went to a 73. He never went to a.
I mean, the first year with the Lakers, I don't think it was much better. But
I
understand what you're saying.
But I'm saying he always went to he goes to a team, and yeah, he bring people with him, but he make that team great. He never goes to a team that's already great. And just he goes to a team and he puts the pieces around him. He makes that team great.
I mean, I can agree with what you're saying, even though I don't agree with the whole point on it, because like he doesn't go to that team without saying, "Hey, Nick, hey Matt, you guys are like top 10 in the league. You want to come to, let's say, Indiana this year and play there and just be relevant now?" I mean,
but
there's other factors.
That's different than KD.
That's kind of why we had Toronto a couple years ago when Leonard went there. I mean, they were a good team, but because of Kawhi was there, they were good. I mean, it's why Brooklyn's good now. 2 players said, "Hey, let's go play for this team." Otherwise, we wouldn't know who Brooklyn is. I can't.
Well, if we're being honest, you still can't say Brooklyn is good because they didn't make it to the conference finals. Yeah, they lost to Milwaukee, but you still
they were hurt. They were hurt. Yeah, we got to give them some pass.
Yeah, but Bucks.
There you go with them passes again, man.
But you still had KD on there. Granted, if KD was a size 16 or size 17, they probably would have won that series.
Yeah, but KD in a hobble, like I wouldn't even say that's 50% James Harden. That was more like 42% James Harden.
But, I mean, James Harden did have 22, 9, and 9. He out in Game 7. He actually outplayed a lot of players on the Bucks team. He actually
but against Giannis, Drew Holiday, and Chris Middleton.
Chris and Drew weren't that good for the whole game.
But they came through in the fourth though. They did
come up a little bit.
Well, guys, it is 11:20 on the East Coast. We've been at this for an hour and almost 20 minutes now. I'm so glad that everyone's do what.
I honestly don't think we won't come to a conclusion until LeBron's career book is finally shut.
Until LeBron
like with MJ, his career book is already closed. We know what the deal is with MJ. With LeBron, he still has a lot of chances to make a case to make it close. Now, I as I mentioned earlier, stated if he doesn't win this year, the book should be closed. But it is this season. Who knows what will go down this NBA season? If LeBron adds another title, which will be ring number 5, that door could still be open, depending on what he has to go through to get there.
If LeBron doesn't win it this year, he's going to get Chris Paul to come to LA. He's going to reach out to KD.
Chris Paul, if we're being honest, Chris Paul should have went to LA to give Kobe number 6, but David Stern was a bitch. If we're being honest here, Chris Paul should have already been to the Lakers, but David Stern said no and denied Kobe number 6.
Kobe and CP would have definitely won a ring, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, yeah, especially with Superman Dwight, too, because Dwight was coming in 2013 as well. Kobe would have at least gotten one more ring. He would have gotten 6.
See, it's all generational. What we don't understand is, I guarantee in 20 years, the discussion is going to be LeBron is the GOAT. I promise you. We already see the players coming in saying, "Yeah, I understand you think Michael Jordan is the GOAT."
Yeah, but this is from their era. They were all born after 2001, 2002.
And who says Michael Jordan is the GOAT? The people from his era. I get it's some people in this era that say Michael Jordan the GOAT, but it's a lot of people in this era that say LeBron.
What's going to depress me is when we stop talking about Michael Jordan. If that's
the case. But here's the thing, though, like
Chamber.
I don't know if he gonna stop talking.
Whenever you ask these young kids, like about who's the GOAT, of course they're gonna say LeBron. But how many of them actually know about like Jordan's accolades and what he really had to go through? A lot of them probably will not know.
I think LeBron and Jordan will always be this talk for the years to come, because at the end of the day,
it's never gonna stop.
Well, most players that are playing have this one little logo on their shoe more than likely. And it comes from Michael Jordan. And I think that will keep him relevant no matter what, because he is the GOAT, and that's why everyone wears a 23.
And also, I want to mention one thing. When you talk about who's the best player today, when you talk about who's the best player today, it can go either way, whether it's LeBron, Giannis, KD, Steph. In the 90s, there was really like you weren't saying Patrick Ewing was better than Michael Jordan.
Ewing was not better than Giannis or KD. Like if KD and Giannis was big back then, it would be competition.
But still, like
MJ pretty much ran the 90s.
Even Hakeem Olajuwon is up there with Giannis and KD.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
He is. Yeah, for sure, he is.
But here's the thing: nobody was saying that he was better than Jordan.
I mean, even
when he won those two
video,
championships,
when they played in the USA team, like they even talked about that game that no one ever saw that was the greatest game, and it was the passing of the torch. Like even they were ready to say Michael Jordan is the best, and that's coming from your best guys. You know, that's recognition. Like I don't see players now, like even now, I would take KD before I take LeBron James right now in their careers.
I mean, LeBron's 36.
But that's me.
I mean, I wouldn't do that. But the thing is, LeBron about to be 37. I still wouldn't do that though.
But I'm talking about like even years before, like even when LeBron was in Miami, people were still saying KD might be the best, and even Kobe was still in his prime.
I feel like LeBron has been undisputed. I feel like this year is a year in which it's in question. But no, for me, LeBron has been the undisputed best player for a long time. Probably since when? Probably since 2012.
I was gonna say 2012 or 2013.
Okay,
I'll give you that. I feel like this year it's in question. But I mean, it's a whole bunch of factors that play involved. Like, we're gonna see. We're going to see at the end of the season. That's what I'm saying.
I think we all can agree that at least Father Time is starting to take place for LeBron finally.
It is.
He's 30-some years old.
It is.
And he is not going to be what we have seen in the past.
I think he's going to be exactly what we saw last year before he got hurt. And
the way that he played in that Phoenix series is kind of showing me that
he was off of one leg. He was injured. He came back early. He wasn't even supposed to be there. He was off one leg.
I mean,
it's LeBron James now this player.
Here's one thing I will say to probably close it out. LeBron has to put up decent numbers this year because he is entering year 18. Mm-hmm. I feel like if LeBron is playing well before he got hurt, if he's playing at that same level, the Lakers have to be one of the top teams in the Western Conference. And they have to at least make it to the NBA Finals with the roster that they have. And if he cannot get the job done, I think it'll be a slight hit if he doesn't get the job done this year. Especially with all the moves the Lakers have done this offseason, preparing the team around him, getting Melo, getting Russell Westbrook. He has the talent, he has the pieces to get it done. Now go out there and get the job done. And if you can get the job done, the GOAT debate doors stays open. But if he can't get the job done this year, if he has another meltdown and he doesn't get the job done, whether that's because I honestly don't think the Lakers are not going to lose in the first round this upcoming season. You can guarantee that. I'll throw a Charles Barkley guarantee there. They're at least making the second round bare minimum. But if they get embarrassed in the second round or the conference finals or the NBA finals, I think that GOAT debate book has to slightly close or fully shut. That is after this season. I think this season you'll get a good look on who the GOAT really is. Because if LeBron could win a title this year, that book is still open. That debate is still open.
That's my whole thing with the GOAT debate, honestly. It's all about taking care of business on the court. I mean, stats are cool and all that. And we can always talk about injuries, but if you step out on that court, you got to give 100% and take care of business no matter what the circumstance is. And I've seen Jordan do that on many occasions. LeBron has done that as well, but not up to the level as Jordan.
Mm-hmm. And like Nick mentioned, the one stat that we can all agree on that matters the most is accolades. What you do in the playoffs, how many rings you got, that's going to seal the deal.
See, but that you can't say that because when you say that, then you bring in people who got more rings than Mike. Like, is
Robert Horry
who get the job done? Bill Russell got the job done every time he went out there.
Which is why Bill Russell is in my personal top 5.
But why not the GOAT there? He got the job done every time, even though he had the best team, just like Mike. It's easy for me. It's just like if you have the best, like if put LeBron on the Warriors with Clay and Steph, of course they win in every year.
LeBron chokes.
No, they win it every single.
He chokes at least one game. One game.
No, he's not choking. We done with the choking days. That's done. 2011. That's over.
Yeah, LeBron's only choked one time. That was 2011. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for coming on here. Jason, welcome to our side, realizing that Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
No, not at
We
all.
appreciate that. But we'll go around. Let's go backwards. Nick, we'll start with you. Give out your handles, where we can find you, what shows you got going on, when we can expect the Sean Kemp article, and all that whole 9 yards.
Follow me on Twitter at NickAndreATR. As you all may know, I'm very active on there as far as with NBA Twitter. And I am promising that Sean Kemp article is gonna go along with my series title Forgotten Players Part 2, which hopefully I can get done hopefully soon when I get the time. But yeah, that's definitely gonna be coming.
Good.
Jason. My Twitter and Instagram is DJasonSmith. I plan on writing more articles, and I plan on being on the live stream much more.
There we go. We've enjoyed it. It's been good.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, we definitely have my Twitter handle down below, Matt_Skura. Instagram, like I mentioned earlier, I'm Matt_Skura20. Also, check out my sports podcast called MCS Real Sports Podcast. Me and my great friend Caleb Conant run. Available everywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's there. It's also available with the link tree in both my Instagram and Twitter bios, where you could get basically where it's all available and published. As always, Michael, it's always a pleasure to be on the Count the Bucket.
Whichever show it is.
Always a pleasure to talk basketball. And I think it's going to be really fun to find out who the GOAT really is, because I think we could have our answer at the end of the season.
And as you can see, too, follow me on Twitter, MDLawson00. Also my Instagram, just about everything, even TikTok. But, guys, this kind of wraps up our show on Count the Bucket every Saturday night, 10 p.m., but we had this one a little special for Friday night. Also, you can follow my show, Backstop Banter, live every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time as well. We just had a great host, special guest from up in Cincinnati talking about some of my Reds with the baseball. You can check out that podcast on any kind of podcast that you search, Apple Pod and all that whole 9 yards as well. Guys, thank you all so much. What I really took from all this is in about a month, we need to just do this again and keep on going until we finally get this answered. Hopefully we get some more guys from Unwrapped Sports available, because I know Caleb and Perry are adamant about LeBron James, and so we can get maybe some more on Jason's side.
I'm disappointed in Perry, man. Perry comes from our era too, man. Perry is a seasoned guy, lives in LA, loves
Hey,
LeBron.
all I know is whenever we have a next debate, if Mark is able to make the stream, he'll be going full MJ, and I'm on the MJ side.
Oh yes, I want the screen where it's like 6 and 6 for all going at this. But guys, until next time, y'all have a good night.
For sure. You too.
This is.